Hey, what is up guys? It is your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at LYCAN. This is a hero that is decimating the pro scene, it's decimating pubs, and it's frankly a hero you should be picking if you're not picking it. If you're like, what should I pick in pubs to get free wins? LYCAN is absolutely that. The hero has a good laning stage, it's very easy. The hero destroys the mid game, it scales fine if you need it to. That's typically honestly why the hero falls off, but it does fine. So yeah, it's just the all around like GOAT of Dota right now. And let's take a look at why by watching Viking GG destroy chicken fighters in like 25 minutes with LYCAN. Alright, so quickly, just to go through the draft, not gonna go through the whole thing, but in the first phase here, look when they picked LYCAN. They literally first phased LYCAN. The enemy team picked Nyx and Prophet, and they're like, yep, that's good enough. That's all we need to know. We know that you picked two heroes that can't deal with LYCAN. Prophet despises LYCAN, Nyx despises LYCAN. This is actually a concept I've had in the back of my mind for all you pro teams out there, or tier 2 teams. I'm probably even going to use it on my team, so I'm really diving into the strats here. But I honestly think that you can give away Nyx if you have LYCAN. I think you can just do this Deathball team comp against Nyx, where you group up and you just punish this hero, because Nyx hates team fights early on. He hates them. And so, yeah. That's the idea, and let's see how they do it. Now you might be thinking, oh, Speed, I can't do this. I need so much coordination in order to make sure that LYCAN can be enabled by my team. No, you don't have to be coordinated to be a good LYCAN and win with this hero in pubs. Trust me, you do not. The reason why you do not is because the hero is incredibly good at playing alone, even if your team doesn't want to group up. You don't need to group up as LYCAN. People have this misconception of push heroes that like, I can kill buildings, therefore I must kill buildings. No you don't, there's nowhere in Dota that says that. Can you conveniently kill buildings when the time comes? Yes, but the main thing you want to understand about LYCAN that enables this hero to be broken is number 1, his farming speed, it's like higher than almost any other hero in Dota, and number 2 is how easily he kills most heroes. And that is what enables LYCAN, not the pushing. Change that in your head right now, and you're gonna get a gameleap sub right now. No, but I'm serious, go click the link down below, as well as like and subscribe to the video if you haven't already. Just help out the channel, help out the boys, come on. We're putting in effort every single day to make that work. Alright, now getting into LYCAN, you want to start with 2 Sage's Mask, a Quelling, and Tangos. This is viable every single game, you don't have to change it. Basically, the idea here is with the 2 Sage's Masks, you can essentially spawn wolves off cooldown, right? You can spawn them as much as you want, right? Because you have so much mana regen. And so with this mana regen, you can last it very well with the wolves. The only thing you do have to learn how to do, which is pretty important, is you have to learn how to surround a creep. So I'll show you an example of that in-game. So for example, you see this melee creep right here? It's very crucial that you don't walk up and hit it at the last second. When you're last hitting as LYCAN, you want to approach the creep a little bit early so that you can get your wolves and LYCAN all in attack range at the same time. This causes you to attack at the same time, which is going to largely guarantee you the CS. Sure, the wolves do have a better base attack time than LYCAN, which means they hit faster, but it's still about the same, and you'll see that most of the time, it's good enough to get you any deny and any CS. And yeah, if you're wondering how to play LYCAN in the lane, don't try to kill anybody. Like, until you're level 5, don't try to kill anybody, please. It is a waste of your time. You need to have incredibly high CS and incredibly high denies. That is all you should be striving for. If you're going for kills, you're just going to be wasting your time and missing out on what your hero's actual strength is. Now in this game here, he does something that personally I wouldn't do, or I haven't been doing, which is he takes Feral Impulse at level 2. Do keep in mind that this spell actually scales very well, so it is something that I can totally see. It almost doubles in bonus damage, and it does double in HP regen, making you incredibly tanky. Which, as I said, is kind of the main thing with the lane. You just want to sustain and CS. And the wolves, honestly, now that I'm looking at it, I totally see why he does this. You can see that they don't scale that well. The damage goes up by 8, which isn't nearly double. The Feral Pulse is almost double. And the base attack time, barely up. HP, 50, not incredible. So yeah, I can totally see why he does this. Now, if everything is going fine and dandy, you can get a Necro from minute 6 to 7. Funny enough, in this lane, he was getting denied a lot. Yeah, even a LYCAN can get denied. After all, the enemy team, they put a Prophet CK lane. It's like one of the highest damage lanes in Dota, like just in terms of raw right-click damage, so it is sort of to be expected. It's a very difficult lane. However, it honestly doesn't matter that much. As long as you don't die, you're kind of chilling. His mid laner also rotated to his lane and picked up a kill, which is obviously good. And as you can see here, once he hits level 5 and has his Necrobook, he's immediately into his jungle. This is incredibly good for 2 reasons. Number 1, you just jungle fast, and number 2, if we click on his Oracle is vibing. This Oracle is going to be extremely high leveled this game, which is, you know, the main thing you want to do as a support. You want to get levels. And that's why whenever you play LYCAN, it is good to have a hero that has long range nukes or is hard to dive. Therefore, when you leave the lane to jungle, they can solo lane. Next up, after you jungle, this is what's so cool about LYCAN. You can have a really natural rotation. Look at this, okay? So he's jungling these camps, right? Goes from his bottom, takes that medium camp, over to this medium camp. Now he's gonna go to this medium camp, and then he's gonna shift to mid. Why? Because it's literally just the direction he's running in. And what's really cool is when you have your necro books up like this, you can consider diving. Now in this case, it is a Kunkka. It's a hard hero to dive. On top of that, Kunkka does have some wave clear, but you'll see, even though it is a theoretically hard kill, he still can be in the area ready to make a play. Now he doesn't ulti right away here. He does ulti once the fight sort of like guarantee breaks out. And yeah, he's just gonna run it in. Starts the fight by guaranteeing the kill onto Nature's Prophet. Kites around the edge, realizes, maybe I can snipe the Kunkka. Okay, I can't. And he's back to farming. And this is exactly, and when I say exactly, I mean exactly how you want to play LYCAN every single game. Sustain your lane, CS, jungle when you have Necro 1. You can even jungle earlier if your lane is really bad. Let's say it's a Timber who's killing you. Just leave, even before Necro. Then you jungle back to the mid lane. When you have your ulti, you dive the mid lane, if it looks good, and then you rinse repeat. Over and over and over again. Now, of course, you don't necessarily want to go back bottom. In this case, he does, just because of how the game was getting played out. But you also can take Ancients, and you can also farm the mid lane. It's kind of just whatever's free with a LYCAN. He's a very, easy to farm with hero, considering he has units. The next thing I'd like to mention is when you pick LYCAN, make sure you do have some other disables. Honestly, his team does kind of lack disables, but Wex Invoker is one of the best heroes with LYCAN in all of Dota. The tempo that these 2 heroes can play together is incredibly good, and you'll see an example of that here, right? Chessie goes in, and yeah, Cold Snap with the units is basically a permastun, and they pick up that kill for free. It's kind of just a snowball effect that you can do, but look, forces the mid fight, gets a pick off, then he's like, oh, this Kunkka stepped up, I'm gonna ulti on the Kunkka. And you can just keep doing this over and over and over and over again. You do so much damage. You solo kill basically anyone. Even heroes like Kunkka, you can almost solo kill them. Probably solo kill them. And that's why LYCAN's so good right now. There's very little heroes that can deal with this tempo. And therefore what ends up happening most games is that you kind of just get run over. Like your mid tower dies. And yeah, your mid laner is going to be very farmed because of it. So is your off laner and so on. Now once the mid tower is dead, you tend to want to switch up your game plan. Typically want to play around the top side of the map. Number 1, you can consider Roshan. Your hero's pretty good at roshing. And number 2, it's just a very convenient area to farm. After all, this is the point of the game where you definitely can shred through Ancients, and that's a good plan for LYCAN, especially if the game is slowing down. Now in this game, they really want to keep up the tempo. The enemy teams, I would argue, scales much better than them, right? They have like a Darkseer, scales okay, but not the best. It's alright. Wex Invoker, he can scale, but he doesn't like flash farm. And then LYCAN, same thing. He does farm fast, but he's not like the best scaling hero in Dota. And so overall, they do want to apply a lot of map aggression here. And that's why you're going to see they're going to constantly play in aggressive areas of the map. And he's always going to be posturing very aggressively, which is what I want you guys to do as well if the enemy team outscales you. Don't necessarily constantly fight and constantly push. Only if you have your ulti, you do that. And that's kind of what you're going to see here. Look at this poor Nature's Prophet. Little ulti, Prophet's like, yeah, I'm just gonna pop my stuff. Tries to sprout, and then nom 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 nom. It's like, oh, everybody dies so fast. This hero's incredible. I love playing it too. Like, look at this Kunkka, insta dead. Nyx, insta dead. Then look at the back half of this, right? So instantly, right? Instantly after his ulti is out, the enemy team engages, catches his bounty, doesn't even consider fighting. Out. He's out. Off to the triangle, off to hit some creeps. In terms of items, this is exactly what you want to go. Occasionally you will have to buy clarities, but other than that, I'm personally a big fan of drums. Now I know there's a lot of people who would disagree with me on this one. They say drums is more of a support item. That's a sentiment I heard from one of my friends recently. However, I'm a big fan of drums on LYCAN, okay? Here's the reason why. It gives you 45 attack speed. That's really the number 1 thing for me. 45 attack speed on units that don't necessarily have the best attack speed, in my opinion, is extremely strong, right? They do a lot of damage. You reduce armor with Howl. However, they don't have attack speed. So personally, I think if you have a LYCAN on your team, you want to buy drums, or even if you are playing LYCAN. So I tend to buy the drums after the Necro. A lot of players, however, just go straight for the AC. which is, it's a very similar concept. In my opinion, the drums just comes online earlier for obviously a big fraction of the cost, but both builds are definitely very, very viable and largely do the same thing, just at different times. The next thing I'd like to talk about on LYCAN is micro. You might be wondering, like, Speed, why have you not mentioned micro on LYCAN? Honestly, it's not that hard. Really, the only thing you have to learn how to do is to set a hotkey for your Purge range creep. So what I mean by that is your Purge Necromonicon. It has this Purge, which is a big portion of your game. It dispels a lot of the things that LYCAN hates. It dispels glimmers, ghost scepters, and it just slows people down. So essentially, it allows you to get on top of people and kill them. And yeah, you want to try to set a control group for that. But honestly, for the rest of your units, you can just set up this hotkey right here. It's very, very easy. It's the select all other units. That will select your units and run them in. And I really recommend you use this one as well as this one, which is select hero. The select hero will select the LYCAN. The other one will select your units, and you kind of just click both of them. That's why I have T and G close together. That's how I personally do it. It works for me. I click T and G like all the time. I'm constantly clicking them, and then if I need to run LYCAN away, let's say I don't want him to get bursted, but I want to run my LYCANs in. Let's say I'm against a Wyvern, right? I'll run my units in at the Wyvern, and I'll run my LYCAN away to make sure I don't, kill myself. And yeah, getting into mid-game, they're eventually going to take Roshan, and then a key thing, the LYCAN is often cutting waves. You can see here, I like this clip. It's a great example of this. They want to push in mid, however, a big way to deal with LYCAN is sort of a split push. Once he gets like these hard timings, he still can pick you off potentially, but at least maybe you'll force him to ulti. And so yeah, what you want to do is LYCAN, you want to send your wolves to the side lane, and you want to buy a shard. You can see here he bought a shard. If you don't know what it does, it causes one of your creep waves to include one uncontrollable wolf that moves with the wave. What's great about this is now Feral Impulse is a AoE passive, right? And therefore, the wolf that spawns with the wave will have 50% more damage and will naturally shove all the side lanes. So basically, whatever wave isn't getting pushed will get pushed by your wolf. It gives you extra creeps, extra map control, and deals with split pushing, which is, a big issue that LYCAN can often run into. But yeah, it's going to be about all for today's video as we watch one more fight as Shad absolutely destroys them. He ends up getting gun on here. They try to burst him. However, the Oracle ulti comes out. A huge vac wall from Toby in the backlines. He insta-kills this CK. Well, I actually believe it's the safe laner for this team comp. They kind of have like two off laners, the Lesh and the CK. And this fight is an absolute disaster. Chicken Fighters knows they cannot win this game. The LYCAN is just tearing them apart. And so yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Go pick LYCAN, go win your pubs. As you can see, you also insta-kill Rax, which I'm sure y'all knew. But notice, I'll end on this. It's a key thing for LYCAN. He hit a lot of creeps, 194 CS, and didn't really siege. You don't want to siege as LYCAN. That's how you lose. You want to collapse on buildings. Let's say there's a tier 1. You want to dive it. Usually, I'm not like a huge fan of that, but as LYCAN, it's very fast. You'll catch the enemy team off guard, and you'll basically make them go in one by one and kill them one by one, and that's what LYCAN loves. So you want to force those one by one scenarios. Team fights can be okay, but the one by ones where you collapse on a tower, find someone who's defending a tower alone, is quite optimal. And then yeah, you just insta-kill the enemy base after doing that. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one, and peace. But yeah, that's going to be about all, folks. Remember, click the link down below and subscribe to the gameleap website where we have thousands of videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.